hopefully, he could bounce back from the injury. But Conor, you got to get it together, man. Those remarks about the man's wife is like classless. Like, you lost a little bit of respect for me doing that for him.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm here with Tyron Menelik and Hollister. And as you guys know, UFC 264 was yesterday. And before we get into the main event and the injury that happened to Conor McGregor, we're going to talk about like a couple of honorable mentions throughout the fights that we had. Like, I know like my cousin Hollister's a huge Sugar Sean O'Malley fan. He put in some work. I missed the fights because I was out last night with my wife. So when I came home, I just caught like from the Greg Hardy fight up. But Sugar Show put on the show. One fight of the night. He fought an up and coming guy who got into the UFC. He wasn't really a UFC fighter. He took the fight on short notice and pretty much put the beats on him. But the guy was so durable and tough that he didn't get put away. And they did stop the fight like 30 seconds left in the fight. A lot of people thought it was controversial, but I thought it was good enough stoppage from the highlights that I seen. He was getting rocked. And then you had the Greg Hardy. He got knocked out by Tai Tuivasa. Then you had this Wonder Boy and Gilbert Burns, and then obviously Conor McGregor. So before we get into the other fights, give a little like 2 cents on those other fights. I just want to get everybody's opinion on the Sugar Show fight. I'm gonna go Tyrone Hollister and Melik, and I know Tyrone, so you didn't see the fight, so you can say what you think. If you didn't have anything, you don't have to say anything. But just
I didn't see anything last night. But with O'Malley, I pretty much had we done a show before, the fights, I was gonna pick him by TKO. He's pretty much like a show entertainer, and he kind of closes the show a lot with a lot of his fights. So I was pretty much gonna pick O'Malley anyway. So there's no surprise with the result to me, to be honest with you.
All right. So Sugar, he put on this show as usual. During the fight, he was doing a little dribbling. He was talking about the Phoenix Suns. He's fighting out of Arizona, so he's repping Phoenix. Even though on his clothes he actually has somewhat of the logo. So he did his thing. The guy, he put up a good fight, but even though Herb Dean did stop it, kind of, even though the guy was getting rocked and Herb Dean stopped it, I was like, okay, but it wasn't gonna really make a difference anyway. But I understand why he stopped it, and Sugar did his thing as usual, and I think he's, after bouncing back from that injury, I think he should be next in line for a title shot because he's been putting in work since he came back from that horrific leg injury.
Really?
Yeah. So, like Hassan Tyron was saying, Sean O'Malley, definite up and comer. He had that little setback in the Cheeto Vera fight, but after coming back from that injury, his other fight, this fight, he's out there to entertain, and he's shown he has power and that he's real in the division. He's going to make some noise. So I do think the UFC would love for him to be in that kind of title picture. So I think that's on the horizon. I think they might still give him maybe 1 or 2 more fights, but you never know. But he did his thing, man. He hopefully he could keep the momentum and put the entertainment with the success and really solidify himself in the sport.
Yeah, I agree. Just touching really on that. Like, I mean, from what I'm seeing, he is a real showman. I mean, his skill set is crazy. You know what I mean? Some people trying to emulate Conor, and I agree with him to a certain extent. He's like, look, man, I'm not trying to be Conor. I'm my own individual, but I'm gonna take pointers for the things that he has done as far as a businessman. Let's be honest, Conor's net worth is $400 million. By probably age 35, the man will be a billionaire, and a lot of that came from fighting in his other business. Businesses that he started and everything like that. So you got to tip your hat off to him to be that guy and still want to fight. You know what I mean? And we'll get into that when we get into the Conor segment, but Sugar Show did put on a good fight. He did say like, yo, man, this guy's very tough. My hands hurt for pound him in the face. And I think he broke a record for the most significant strikes in the fight. I think he almost had like 300 or something like that. And it's crazy. And I know people feel how they felt about the 30 seconds, give the guy the chance to fall in the shield, but fighting is fighting. And as you've seen in the Conor McGregor fight, anything can happen. Conor McGregor got his leg snapped up. We'll get into that later. And, it wasn't a fight, you know what I'm saying? And this guy's taking a lot of head damage, getting uppercutted, knee, punched, kicked, everything. You're like, why prolong the beating, especially when the guy was pretty much, like they said, based on the highlights that I've seen as well, that he was knocked out on the feet, and then getting rocked. So it's like this, I guess because he keeps getting up and he's being tough. Sometimes you got to save these athletes and save these fighters because a lot of these guys have heart, which like a warrior and a fighter would have, but there's many fighters that I've seen in boxing and other sports that died from the kind of beatings or became like, paralyzed or paraplegic and, what I'm saying, and becoming like a vegetative state because of the head trauma and the beating that they take. So he went straight to the hospital, that same kid. So it's like, he didn't do any interviews, no post fights. Like, why even do that? Especially because it's not like Sugar was hitting him like baby stuff. He's hitting him with some stuff. So it's better for him to do that. But just jumping really to the next fight, the Tai Tuivasa versus Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy, I forgot what he did in the NFL where he got banned or something like that. People were like talking about, I think it was like domestic abuse or something like that.
I'll tell you about that.
Yeah. Domestic violence, right? Yeah. So he did that. A lot of people getting on him. I know him and what's his face? The Black Beast. You know what I mean? Derek Lewis got beat because Derek Lewis hate domestic violence people. That's why he beat the brakes off like, what's his guy name who beat Overeem? Travis Brown, he beat him. He beat a lot of guys and stuff like that for that. But, he has been coming along with his fighting skills and been really trying to put in the work, you know what I'm saying? And I felt that fight would have been like a barn burner, but I think he kind of rushed it a little bit and got too excited. He showed the inexperience that he has and, Ty's an experienced guy and also could bang and he rocked him. So that happened. So I don't know if you guys saw that fight. I mean, it's pretty much what it is. And I know we don't have to go take for take. So I'm just going to just sum those things up and let's go to the co-main event. Wonder Boy Thompson, 38 years old, you know what I'm saying? Still in the sport age, old, but still young in my book, you know what I'm saying? But he fought Gilbert Burns and I felt bad for him because, the fight was boring for the most part. It wasn't a really entertaining fight, but it was a smart fight on Gilbert's part. It wasn't nothing like to write home about, but I think this is Wonder Boy's last chance. You know what I'm saying? He is a good guy. He beat Vicente Luque, but unfortunately, when it came to this grapple heavy fight, he lost. So I just wanted to get your opinion on it. So Malik, Tyrone, and Hollister.
Yeah. So, like you saying, Gilbert Burns came in originally known for his jiu-jitsu, like high level, really good at that kind of stuff. And later on, he became a little more well-rounded, started striking more, doing this, that, and the third. And like you said, Wonder Boy was, he had a kind of a resurgence and he was given this other opportunity. And, Burns kind of went back to a little bit more of his old style where it was more focused on his grappling, which made the fight a little, not as entertaining, but it also gave Wonder Boy problems. And, unfortunately for, Wonder Boy, he lost. And like you said, it's going to be hard for him to really get himself back up there and be back in the mix. I mean, you never know, sometimes they do have these opportunities or people pull out, or maybe he could go on another streak, but it's definitely a setback. But I think the fight went the way it went largely because, Gilbert Burns did kind of focus more on that kind of grappling sense and, yeah.
All right, so we're going to...
And real quick.
You go ahead.
Now, I'm just going to say, too, real quick with the Greg Hardy thing, too, it was like one of those cases where, he was doing good and, he caught Tua, but, it was one of those things, he didn't catch him good enough. And then he came back and, he stayed focused. He came back and, he was able to put him away. So that was interesting. But I mean, I think he didn't look bad. He definitely has some of like future still in the sport. It was one of those things where, you get excited and then the other guy stayed focused and he had a pretty good chin. He ate the shot and then came back with a really good 1-2 and put him out. But yeah.
I agree. All right, so we're going to... You go ahead, Tom.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I know Burns. I didn't see this particular fight, but I'm not surprised by the result because I'm more familiar with him. But I was going to break, you was talking about Hardy earlier and stuff, and Malik said it right. He's trying to, step his game up in this MMA world. Like you said, I actually saw the highlight of that. And yeah, he did get caught. It was a little... did run into something and got caught and then, he got stopped. But I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people in the world that enjoy seeing Greg Hardy get beat up because of his, I'm not going to get into too much of it. I guess we could talk about it like off the air, but it's a lot of things with him, with the domestic, there's a lot of like graphic details with his situation. So there's a lot of people out there that when you hear about Greg Hardy and he loses, it's a big celebration with a lot of people, man. He gets booed. I've seen some old stuff before the pandemic with him, and he used to heavily get booed a lot when he come to the ring. So, a lot of people know a lot of the information what happened with him. So yeah, I just wanted to bring up, I didn't really see the Burns fight. I was gonna say something about the Hardy fight, but I said let me wait till after you finish speaking about it and then bring up Hardy. But yeah, that's pretty much it about Hardy. We could get to the main event when you're ready.
Allison?
Yeah, I didn't see it, so we could just keep going.
I feel you, man. Cause honestly, when I came back, I was kind of tired too, and I didn't really sit down to watch all of it. I'm a big fan of the UFC, and I wanted to watch the fights. The Bigoba Burns fight, like I said, like Malik said earlier, he did the smart thing. He went back to his old style, being more grapple heavy. Because, like, let's be honest, Wonderboy is like a puzzle to figure out. He is a dynamic karate practitioner. He's not like other karate guys, and his style is very like unorthodox. What I'm saying? He has lightning precision. He's a counter striker. He's good. He has good kicks with both legs and different things like that. So I do feel for him. I mean, there is hope because you look at somebody like Glover Teixeira, who's like 40-something years old and fighting for the title against Jan Blachowicz. So it's like, there is a pot. And he did lose to John Jones and worked his way back up to do his thing. If you look at the soldier of God, Yoel Romero, he was like 40-something years old fighting for titles and still, you're yoking up a lot of guys in the division at 185. So there is a possibility for Wonder Boy to do his thing. It's just that he's in a place where it's like, all right, he's going to end up being like a gatekeeper. Like he's going to be a name that some kids could bounce off of. Like they beat him, that's to show that they're kind of in that echelon. Because he's, I think, the top 5 in the division and he lost to number 2. He fought the guys underneath him and beat them, but now he fought like Gilbert Burns, who was ahead of him and lost. So it's unfortunate for him. I mean, there's not really much he can do in the division because I'll say maybe put him against Masvidal because they both coming off a loss. Maybe have them fight, but Masvidal, because of his draw and who he is, they might try to find a way to put him against Leon Edwards to get them to get closer to the belt. So he's kind of stuck in a position where, getting the title seems kind of, out of reach unless he go in there and start taking people's heads off and maybe getting kind of crazy with the call outs and stuff like that after a victory. But moving on to the main event, we have Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier 3. Now, we know about the first one. This one, Conor was on his way up. Conor was a hungry individual, really hit the sport by a storm. I'm saying? He beat Dustin Poirier in their first matchup. Dustin Poirier is like one of those dudes who's like a hothead back then. And like, Conor got into his head and Conor beat him. And I felt that even back then, Conor used a lot of mind games to beat his opponents before they even get into the ring, like how Mike Tyson type of thing, Octagon, like how Mike Tyson did. And, that first fight went like after like 60 seconds or so, Conor knocked him out. The second fight, a little bit more competitive in the first round and in the second round. And then Conor with them leg kicks, leg gave out. Couldn't move, and Dustin poured it on him, and Dustin beat him, convincingly at the end. And, everybody was looking at Conor like, this guy is wealthy now. He might not have the hunger. Why is he fighting? He don't really need to fight. And Conor is an individual who loved the sport and just want to fight. And, he took this third fight very seriously, and I felt that he came out strong. He's throwing a lot of kicks, but Dustin also came out strong. And Dustin was, relaxed, composed. There was a lot of trash talking, a lot of things about wives, and a lot of background stuff. But ironically, and I'm going to talk about this more on my part, but ironically, Conor predicted that he's going to put Dustin Poirier is going to leave the octagon in the stretcher. And he was the one that ended up leaving in the stretcher. So I don't know, God has a plan for everything. I don't know what the plan was for him. And I feel bad for him because who wants somebody to get a nasty injury like that, you know what I'm saying? And like, forget about the career fighting, but just your well-being in life in general. Like after an injury like that, you might not never be the same. You don't know. But I just wanted to get your guys' takes. Whoever's seen it, I want to get y'all takes. So I'm going to go Hollister, Tyrone Malik, and then I'll give my little wrap-up piece afterwards.
So I saw this fight. Both guys, they came out with the intensity. They both came out strong. Conor came out focused. Dustin came out focused. And I noticed Conor kept, kicking Dustin kept kicking him in his leg. I'm like, okay. It looked like it was hurting him a little bit. Then one of the kicks he did, I was like, something didn't seem too right. That's when I feel like he probably cracked a part of his tibia. And then next, he made a move. I ain't gonna say what happened, but you put two to two together. So that was the end of the fight pretty much. Herb being stopped, and Conor couldn't move. I guess he realized after, like, oh, he couldn't move, and he just backed up, and then that was it. So Conor, he got since that Mayweather fight, he hasn't been the same. He won one fight since after that Mayweather fight. I think it was a Cowboy. I think he beat.
Yeah,
he
Cowboy.
hasn't won since.
Yeah.
I'm like, Conor, you can, like, dude, you gotta. I don't know. I feel like he don't really have. He say he still loves it, but I don't feel like he has the hunger like he used to before. And I like, when he do the press conferences, his antics, the mind games. I like it. It's funny, but after the fight, when he was talking about Dustin's wife, talking about she was in his games and all of that, like, dude, you crossing the line. Like, you could talk about him all you want, but just don't mention him as his wife or his daughter. Like, once you do that, it becomes more serious. And he said he want to fight him again. So Dana White said they might run it back. I don't know, but Dustin might, he's on his way up. He got a title shot next against Dubron, so he might not be thinking about Conor next year. Conor got to heal, and hopefully, he could bounce back from the injury. But Conor, you got to get it together, man. Those remarks about the man's wife is like classless. Like, you lost a little bit of respect for me doing that fault. Like, you can say whatever you want about him, but don't bring the man's family in it. Hopefully, he bounced back. I hope he does, but I'm just eager to see that Dustin and Oliveira fight in December. I think they aiming for. That's gonna be a good one. Dustin is on his way up. He's doing his thing. Got to give the man his props.
Absolutely. Tyrone?
I want to start this off by saying this, Mike. Don't you ever compare Conor McGregor and Mike Tyson again. Don't do that. Mike Tyson ain't played mind games. His power spoke for itself. Conor just flapped his gums. Them guys were scared of Mike because of that power. And nothing to do with mind games. The mind games was that damn left and right hands he had. But you know what I'm saying? I heard that. I'm like, nah, I know he just bring up Mike Tyson with Conor McGregor.
I mean, you're right. But I mean, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. I mean, in the sense that,
Conor McGregor's a trash talker, like Floyd Mayweather.
You get into their head before they fight. Like, meaning that, like, Mike Tyson,
Mike Tyson got in their head because of them hands.
Based on that, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Based on them
like,
hands.
On that line, yeah. But yeah,
Conor McGregor, you know them Irish people got big mouths. But what my brother was saying about the whole talking about the wives. Go Google, because I'm a boxing guy. Go Google Ricardo Mayorga. He was a Nicaraguan fighter, but you could read the subtitles. This man used to talk about everybody's wives and sleeping with their wives and all that stuff. Adrian Broner does it, so it's common in combat sports, at least in boxing. So, and not really a surprise to me. I mean, it's not something I would do. I mean, I think it's uncalled for myself, but it's not something I've never heard before. I've heard it a lot. But with Conor, I didn't see the fight. I noticed I was following the fight on ESPN, like the live punch by punch, and I noticed that he was doing a lot of leg kicks early on. So like Hollister said, that had to contributed to him hurting his leg, because sometimes he probably kicked the wrong way. It's sort of like with Anderson Silva and how he hurt himself. They said there is a certain sweet spot that you can hit that can hurt you more than hurt the opponent. So he must have not been kicking him in the right area. But it's kind of, his name and his mouth, and he's very popular. He has a lot of endorsements, he's on a lot of commercials. So he's still gonna draw money. But if we're talking about his skills as a fighter, I don't think he's the same fighter he once was, because and it's not even just the going transition into the boxing world. I think that had a lot to do with it. Transition into the boxing world and then Mayweather stopping you like that. But he was, honestly, even before that, he was very popular and all that. But now after that, after the he had flaws, like you brought it up, Mike. You brought it up. He had a lot of flaws. I think Menolek brought it up too. Conor has a lot of flaws in his game, like with his ground game and everything. I think you guys just brought that up earlier. He has to work on that. He's not old. He's not an old guy. There's still time for improvement, room for improvement, no matter how old you are. It's not like he's almost 40. And I think he needs to really focus and get his mind right and figure out, listen, am I going to be in this MMA world 100%? Because he said the reason why he lost the second fight because he was focused on Manny Pacquiao. Like, which one is it, man? You gotta think now. Like, do you want to box? Do you want to be a boxer or do you want to be an MMA fighter? You can't just keep, okay, you're negotiating with Pacquiao and then, oh no, you know what, that fell through. Let me go back in MMA and fight. You can't just keep doing both because it doesn't work out. It's not going to work out because it's two different sports. So I think Conor needs to just go back to the drawing board, get healed up, get the surgery, get healed up, and sit down with his team and figure out, do I want to be a boxer or do I want to be an MMA fighter? Because in my opinion, he cannot do both.
Yeah, so I mean, y'all touched on a lot of this stuff. Like as you guys were saying, it started out, both guys were, looking focused, locked in. Conor was doing some kicks, threw a couple spin kicks, some other kicks at the leg, and he definitely probably, got one of those really good kicks. It hit that kind of wrong spot and it weakened it, because once it did snap, like afterward when he was like holding it, you saw it like really just flopping around. Like it was like it was broke. But before that, the only thing I would say, like, Dustin was looking good on the feet. Like like Michael brought this up earlier. Like Conor has been in fights where he gets taken down sometimes, or people use other tactics against him, but he finds a way to bounce back, or he does have power. So once he catches people, he a lot of times can put them away. But on the feet, Dustin caught him with some good combinations, and he did, control certain portions of the fight. Now, obviously, toward the end, kind of thing with his foot, and he fell on the ground, and then he had to kind of just survive till the end, or like protect himself. But Dustin, I think, really was locked in. He really studied McGregor, and Dustin is a very good fighter. He's not the same Dustin from before, and his only loss recently really was to Khabib, who was undefeated and who was the champion. Like he's very good. So not to take nothing away from, no, I just feel like we also got to give him credit too. As much as McGregor is not probably as focused and locked in as the old McGregor, and he has, like Tom said, he talked about he was focused on Pacquiao for the other fight, and not completely, but even after he first started doing the boxing stuff, his stance was changing. He was fighting a little different, so it could be a numerous factors. Then all the money he got and all the issues he was going through outside the ring, like legally and with all kind of controversy and all that stuff takes a toll, and he probably doesn't have as much of the hunger. He mentioned too in the lead up, like, it was hard, going to train and then like going to kiss my son goodnight or doing things like that. Because, that's why he tried to have this camp be a little different. I do think it's a shame that the fight ended the way it did, because I would have liked to see a brawl between them, or at least for both men to really go out there and put it all out there, and what happens. And I think that's why Dustin was like, he would run it back, because one, is that beef there because of some of the things Conor was doing and saying. But I know he also felt like he really wanted to more definitively, even though it's definitive, but like more definitively kind of get that win. And I know Conor feels like he didn't really get his chance to fight the fight. If that does happen, I think it's going to be down the line, because Dustin, I think, has a really good shot of becoming a champion. Like Oliveira is no slouch, but they both well-rounded guys. But I think Dustin has a legitimate chance to becoming a champion. And if he does, I don't know if the UFC is going to throw Conor a title fight, because it's going to be at least 6 months plus before he could come back anyway. But so we will see what happens, how it plays out. But I would just say, props to Dustin too.
I agree 100% with Malik, man. Dustin did his thing, and a lot of time I feel it is like lost in translation, that people kind of take away from Dustin because of the aura and the awe, of like Conor McGregor. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's the same thing that happened with me and John Jones. Like, when I first watched them, I wasn't really a fan of them. I wanted them to kind of lose. I didn't want them to win, and not lose, but I was rooting for like fans. So when Jones fought Rampage. I wanted Rampage to win because Rampage was my favorite fighter at the time. And Conor, like I just felt there was too much hype around him until he started to like, what made me a fan of Conor and give me like the respect for him when he fought Dennis Seaver before he got to his title thing. Because I feel like Jose Aldo, I don't want Jose Aldo to win. But with the whole thing with this Conor situation, I just said like, I feel that he did put a lot of work into this camp. And I think if you notice, like I watched some of the embedded, like you can see like he had a lot of cupping on his legs, different things like that. He was going to go back into MMA stances and MMA fighting. That's why you saw him come up with the spinning kicks. He's being more kick heavy. And checking the kick. Why they say check kicks? Because when you check a kick, it hurts the opponent who's throwing the kicks, and things like that happen with the breaks. So you give them enough of a warning where they're like, all right, this hurts. I must chill. Because when you put that knee up, the bone right under the knee is much stronger than the bone the closest to the ankle. And that seemed to what happened. Maybe Conor did, like you guys said, maybe Conor did, catch him there. And, it might have did a little crack. And then when he made that move, because like I watched it in slow motion, I was watching the fight, like they both threw punches at each other and they missed each other. And I think when Conor got tagged and he was stepping back to move, you could see his foot kind of buckle a little bit. And then when he stepped back fully to get out of the way of the other punch, his leg gave out. And that's when he went back and he pushed himself against the octagon. So I thought maybe he rolled his ankle. But then when you look at it and he's holding, he's like, oh, it's broken. And my thing with the Conor situation is like the trash talk thing with the DM thing. Like I have my reservations with that because he did show the proof that Dustin's wife did hit him up in the DM. Now, I don't know what it was for. Maybe it was like one of those troll accounts trying to hit him up. Maybe it could have been something like that. Maybe she was trying to hit him in the DM, and he even said it to him like the other night before, like, look, man, your wife wanted to see my nuts, some crap like that. But, real talk, man, that's still wrong. Just want to let you know you got to be careful. You got to watch that. And Dustin said he talked to his wife. Like, I don't know their situation. I don't know what it is. Maybe she might try to, trash talk him too on the DMs. But he did have a proof that she did do that. And my thing, like you guys said, I do agree. You want to leave the women and children out of it and just stick to the fighter that you're fighting. But with Conor, there's no hold barred. But the funniest thing to me is that while he's on the floor getting medical attention on his foot, the man's still talking trash. Like he said before they even stopped the fight, he was like, look, no technical knockout. He said, doctor stoppage. Like, make sure the doctor stops it. The man isn't paying. He's yelling at the doctor, make sure the doctor stoppage, because he don't want that on his record that he TKO'd him. He's like, look, this stopped because of the doctor. You didn't do nothing to me, but technically it doesn't matter. He still won. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, go ahead.
Not to cut you off like that. They're gonna judge the result the way they want to, but I understand why he did that. I actually understand, and I don't blame him for actually thinking that, because 10, 15 years from now, somebody's gonna look up his record and see that loss, and they're gonna think he got knocked out. So I can understand why he would want it to say knockout by doctor, like doctor technical decision, whatever they called it. I could see why he would want that done.
Yeah, I understand it too. Because like, look, obviously you want that. You don't want the guy to have any kind of standing over you. But at the end of the day, the guy gets the W. And my thing is that on the floor, he's like, don't think this is over. If I have to fight you outside, I'll fight you. And he was saying, and your wife, hey, what's up, baby? He was saying stuff like that. So she flipped him off and everything like that. So It was just crazy in general. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was funny.
I gotta take a look at that.
This picture is actually when he was really going off in the middle of going off.
Yeah, you can see his face. Yeah.
He said as soon as they stopped the fight, he said this is not over. He was ready to go.
Yo,
like, right,
give him. You gotta give him credit, man. Man got a broken ankle and he's still running his mouth, man. I gotta salute him for that.
Yeah, Kaporia said he think he broke his shin at one point when he kicked him. I was like, oh. And then the rest of it was the ankle. But I seen worse, but it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah, these MMA matches. This is what scared me away from it. Back remember when we watched that Anderson Silva. What's the guy, Weidman?
Yeah, Chris Weidman.
Silva and Weidman. Man, these are the things I'm afraid of. And I've run into a couple of these after that. I've run into quite a few. Yeah. But it's rare, but still, man, just to know.
Yeah. They better stop skipping leg day, man.
This is the second one, and it's honestly not even about leg. You gotta understand, man. They're trying to do
right, exactly, Mike. I know what you're getting ready to say.
They're trying to do like testing to see what this is like the second one that happened so far. And it usually is rare. Like they had a couple of guys years ago that happened. The Anderson Silva joint, Chris Weidman, and now Conor McGregor. a lot of this could be done because of the fact, like, there's people got hairline fractures, even sports players, like hairline fractures in their legs that you don't even know about.
Exactly.
That's together, and you might make a move. Cause when Conor broke his leg, like it might have, like Snuffy said, Hollister said, right? He might get hit. You know,
that's all right. Keep it going.
Yeah, you might get hit in the leg, and it caused a crack or a fracture. You don't even know. And then when Conor made that move to get out the way, it finally broke and it snapped, because it wasn't like he did a kick and then it broke off of that. He broke off of moving back and trying to parry an attack. So these things could be an accumulation of things that happen throughout the time and throughout the years, doing training, doing screaming. Like I said,
I was gonna say he could have went heavy in training, to prepare for all that stuff.
Exactly.
Right. Could have been even something slightly there too before.
Exactly. And like I was saying,
from the last fight.
No, this in general in training.
No,
because like,
in general.
you watch him.
No.
Yeah, even for the last fight.
I knew.
I'm saying, was it the same leg? That one that
no. The one that he got. No, actually, yeah, it was the same leg that Dustin like kind of compromised. Was it this leg? No, I think it was the right leg that Dustin. Yeah, the right leg that Dustin compromised. This one was the left leg that broke. But what I'm saying is that he was throwing a lot of kicks. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. With that leg in the beginning, and then also I noticed that when I was watching something like the the embedded or like those like behind the scenes kind of thing when I went up to the training, the ones that he allowed people to be there with. You seen they were doing a lot of cupping in the area. Like I seen putting his legs in like a hot bath and a cold bath to recover. So he probably was really, really kick heavy in this training camp, and doing a lot of mixed martial arts training, different things like that. Because like he said, he was focusing on Pacquiao. He was looking beyond Dustin. And honestly, in that other the second fight when he fought Dustin, there's a couple of times he could have took him out. And if it was like maybe a polished, more hungry Conor, he might have taken out Dustin, because like he was really doing his thing. So my thing is that, it's unfortunate what happened, but I know we all was talking about this, but to be honest, the UFC doesn't care. Conor still has some level of popularity. It's unfortunate. And it's kind of like a double-edged sword for him. Like he lost the way he lost, but you know what I'm saying? The fans could say, well, technically he lost because of the injury. We don't know what would have happened. You know what I'm saying? Like they both was having success on the feet. On the ground game, we already know Dustin had him on lock on the ground game. So that was just one thing. But Conor is not as easily taken, easily able to be taken down. He just pulled guard, try to guillotine him, whatever, which he shouldn't have done. But, still, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, who knows what would happen if they got back on their feet. Second round, Conor could have came out there and tagged them or something. You start to get the first round jitters out. You don't know. My thing is that the UFC, if Dustin wins, and I'm thinking that Dustin is very likely to win the championship, so I'm happy for him, because he should have been the champion after he beat Conor the other time, because, Khabib, left, and at that point he was the top of the food chain. But I think he could beat Oliveira, and the UFC will make that fight between him and Conor for the belt. They don't care that Conor lost. They don't care about any of those things. Conor McGregor is a big name, and for him to fight for the title is going to do it. And Dustin, actually Tyron got me saying Dustin will take the fight for the simple fact that it's a payday. You know what I'm saying? I heard that his contract was so crazy that he signed his contract. This is all rumors. I don't know how accurate it is. He signed a contract when he fought Conor the second time that he's going to make a certain amount of money. But in order for him to get pay-per-view points to get bigger money, he had to knock out Conor in that second fight. And if he did, it was like a knockout clause. If he did, he'll get a bigger portion in the third fight, and pay-per-view points. So he knocked out Conor in the second one, and now he getting it. So now he's gonna get, even though they said reportedly he started off with a $1 million, but we already know what pay-per-view points and everything else like that and other incentives behind the scene that we don't know. He liable to at least walk away with like maybe $10-15 million, maybe. And I know Conor said he got minimum 20. You know what I'm saying, just to be there. So at the end of the day, like I'm saying, it's just crazy to me, you know what I'm saying, to see that, and they're gonna make that fight happen. Trust me. Yeah. So it's like, look, man, it's about money. So Dana White and them, they're gonna look at it was like, look, what's the biggest fight, biggest payday, what arena we can sell is a great story. He's a champ. It's gonna be more lucrative to do it that way. And I just saw just now on Bleacher Report that he had successful surgery, so he's going to be healed up. Look at what happened to Chris Weidman. Chris Weidman had that joint. I think within a month, the man was starting to walk. He was actually doing some light training in his gym. Obviously, wasn't kicking nothing and different things like that. The major thing is the mental part of it and how you feel, because with any injury, like I dislocated my shoulder back when I was like 18, 19, and that's when I was really playing basketball a lot. And it took me a while to feel comfortable just to like grab a rebound and do certain movements, because like in your mind, you don't want to be hurt again. You don't want to get to that spot. And then if you're a person who does martial arts and throwing kicks, you know what I mean? Like anything can happen, you know what I'm saying? It's not typical that the foot will break all the time, but it's just that idea of it, you know what I'm saying? Especially that pain level and how it feels, and, you know, having any type of break is not good, not pleasant. So, you know, speedy recovery for him. I'm looking forward to see what happens. I mean, to me, if I was UFC, I'll have him fight like a Nate Diaz again, just to get his name out there, like how they did with the Cowboy. They threw him a bone with Cowboy, and have him fight like a Nate Diaz. Maybe he could beat Nate. You know what I'm saying? I like the Diaz brothers, but maybe he can like squeeze out. Cause even in the second one, I thought that Nate kind of won that second one, but it was a little bit closer because, you know, Nate didn't submit him and he was really peppering him. But maybe he could beat Nate, and then now I'll get him like, you know, back on it. But I doubt Nate will want to fight at 155. So, you know, who you gonna have him fight? You know what I mean? I know they had an issue with him in RDA in the backstage, so maybe you can throw him an RDA. But it's like, you know, at this point, because of the type of person that Conor is, he's pretty much gonna get what he wants. And he don't need the UFC. He don't really need the money. So it's honestly just about competing and fighting at the martial artist, because like he is a martial artist. Like give him that. And it's unfortunate, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to say he doesn't have it anymore, but like they said, I forgot that boxer who said it. It's hard to get up and train when you have silk pajamas on and different things like that, and you have the luxuries that you didn't have when you was in the gutter having to fight, because this is your livelihood. You know what I'm saying? Now Conor is making so much money outside of fighting that, you know, yeah, he can just get another yacht if he wins a bout. You know, he don't really need it. So we'll see. But that's my take on the UFC situation. Quick question: when is that Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley fight coming up?
It's in August.
Oh, it's August? Okay.
I don't know when in August, but it's in August. And it was supposed to be, it's supposed to be, I'm thinking August 20 something.
I thought it was supposed to be earlier than that. I thought it was
August
supposed to be like July
29th
24th or
is the
something.
Right.
Okay.
It's August 20 something.
29th.
Yeah.
So like a month and some change out. I thought it was sooner. Cause I've been watching Woodley training hard, man. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not taking that from Jake. He probably training hard, but you know, obviously I'm rooting for him to lose. I do respect what he's trying to do with the fighter pay situation, you know, kind of getting that Dana and them for that. Cause I do agree. It shouldn't be a fight that you barely making like money. Like you're getting like $8,000 to show and $8,000 if you win like a $16,000 and you working on this camp. Like, you know, to me, unless I get a performance of the night and I'm getting like $80,000 and, you know, and after taxes and they rape that, it's not really a lot of money. So for me, I feel that, you know, once you're in the top echelon, like top guys, like, you know, Connor, Dustin, John Jones, and Kamaru and stuff like that, you make more money. But it's like, it takes a long time to get the proper push. You have to be marketable. It's a lot, you know what I mean, to make a decent living, especially being the UFC having the monopoly in the game, in the sense that most people want to fight. It's just like, yeah, I can fight for Bellator, but it's like me playing basketball overseas if I go to Bellator. Whereas UFC is like the NBA, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of tough. And I just, you know, like I said, I tip my hat off for him for speaking on that. And I do feel as fighters, it should be a little bit more of an incentive. You putting your body on the line. Like we just seen guys getting their legs snapped up, people getting their eyes, like Michael Bisping lost an eye fighting. You know what I mean? These things is unforgivable. You know what I'm saying? Like, your life changer. Look at Dustin Poirier. Look at his ears. You seen his ears? You know what I'm saying? Like the cauliflower, one ear sticking out the other way, like the scars, the scar tissues, the brain damage, the body, just in general, like that stuff takes a toll on you. Look at Yoel Romero. He don't even look right now. He's been fighting for a minute. Like he looked like he had a stroke or something like that. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. So I feel that they should get paid something. I have some type of medical thing, subsidy for them. It's like, I feel like the UFC is this $1 billion conglomerate. They can figure something out. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of these billionaires be acting, I don't want to get too political, but a lot of these billionaires be acting like, yo, we don't have any money, man. But you don't need all that money. Now you want to spend that money in a lifetime. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, earn your money, capitalism, I get it. But come on, do right by the people that help you get it. You know, that's all I'm saying.
It's the same thing in boxing. The same story.
But at least the boxers, for the most part, if you're a decent boxer, is more independent. Like you can actually promote yourself and get more money. Whereas these MMA fighters, they are making like this $1,000. They're not even making like.
Oh no, I was referring to like the.
I understand what you're talking about.
The medical
sorry, Cookie.
aspect of it. I wasn't talking about that. I know the MMA fighters are getting shortchanged.
Sorry.
I know that. I've heard a lot about that on listening to a lot of shows.
Yeah, and it's like you have to like really sell yourself. Like Conor McGregor, speaking of him still, is like he hit lightning in a bottle. He was a young kid who was very confident, could fight, backed it up, had a way with words, you know what I'm saying? And he had a whole country behind him, just like Khabib. Khabib was a guy, didn't have a lot of words. And I didn't really know about Khabib like that until like maybe like a few years ago. Not a little bit more than that, obviously, before he became champ. But he was another guy. Like, you know, he has Russia behind him. You know what I'm saying? Like Ngannou and those guys have Africa. So like the UFC is going to help push those guys because like if they're good and they're talented, that's a money maker. Like I get a whole continent, you know, in Africa. I can get a whole country in Russia and freaking Ireland to back these guys. That's money in my pocket. You know what I'm saying? I can expand now. Whereas if I'm an American fighter, it's like if I'm not that good or if I'm decent and I don't have like really much to say, like they're not gonna really back me. Like, look, that's how Darren Till was able to get his ups the way he did. And look at somebody like Leon Edwards who won 9 fights in a row, but yet still ain't getting no title shot because he's not really a big time speaker. You know what I'm saying? He's not really one of those guys. And it's like, all right, he doesn't move the needle. So he ain't getting no love like that. So it just sucks. I guess that's how fighting is. But if you guys have anything else to say, I can jump in and say that, and we can just really end it with the basketball. I know there's a game on right now. We can just talk about that real quick.
Just a little quick comment, because I know we're gonna discuss this. We were supposed to discuss this in the coming week or two, but I guess we're gonna have to delay this again. But your boy Tyson Fury chickening out, talking about he got COVID. Wink, wink, COVID. He running from that bronze bomber.
I mean, hey, honestly, I'm with it. You can talk about it right now. We don't got to talk about the basketball. We already know what's going to happen. Suns in 4. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? You can go ahead and say that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just mad because, I mean, the Nets would have been, I ain't even talking about it. The Nets would have been here, son. We'd have been up 2-0.
You gotta let that go, man.
I know Nigeria beat the U.S. team. I know Nigeria beat the U.S. team, and it was all hype. But, you know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got a little lucky.
But worry about no exhibition game.
I'm saying we ain't worried about exhibition, right? We ain't talking about practice. You know what I'm saying? We talking about the real joint. You know what I'm saying? But you can talk about the Tyson Fury thing if you want, because honestly, that's some good stuff.
Listen, even not to change the subject for a second, but not listen. Even there's a story about the Dream Team when they played, you know, Chris Webber and them, and Chuck Daly on purpose while they were losing stopped the game while the Dream Team were losing, trailing in the game. So you know, it can happen. It happens, man.
Yeah,
man. But yeah, it was supposed to be Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder, July 24th in Las Vegas. You know, there was a lot of controversy with both fights, actually. Yeah. There was situations where Tyson Fury allegedly cheated in both fights. I don't want to get too much into it now because it's a long story. I could discuss it, but it's a long story, and it's better to talk about it when the fight's coming up. But we have to unfortunately
before you say something real quick, I just want to say this out there for those of you guys who listen. This is not a hating thing. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. This is facts. Now, you can YouTube this all you want.
YouTube
type in it, Tyson Fury cheating. And it's not only with Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury
Tyson Fury has popped dirty twice.
Yes.
At least twice.
And we're not even talking about PEDs only.
Yeah.
We're talking about cheating with the gloves. Boxing has been this scummy for years. But cheating with the gloves, cheating with how he was throwing the punches, everything. There's many outlets. You got to understand, there's more to news than just the regular news outlets that we like ESPN, because they're going to go the narrative. They're not going to really go against the grain because, you know, it's about, you know, the sport. They don't really care. They just want to make the popular headlines. They're not going to really dive into it and other people.
And that was the thing I was trying. That was the thing I was bringing up. That I was trying to bring up last week with the Rachel Nichols thing. You know, ESPN, as you could see, you ain't hit. The only person that brought up that thing on ESPN was Rachel Nichols with her 2-second apology.
Yeah.
You don't hear ESPN bringing it up. Stephen A's been on vacation. So, you know, he claims that he's the voice of reason. So I'm surprised I haven't heard no Instagram, maybe his bosses maybe told him to keep quiet, but
his Instagram been quiet because I got him on there. He ain't say nothing about it.
But you know why? Because you know Kwame Brown been on him, and he got to deal with his own thing. It's just like people getting on Stat because Stat is
shout out. Shout out to Kwame Brown. Yeah, man, Stack. I had a lot of respect for Stack before, but he looking real exposed these days now.
Trying to keep that little job he got. Well, go ahead.
So,
yeah, sorry.
Kwame Brown, all these guys putting them on blast and they're looking true. But but I'm glad you jumped in and said what you said with Fury, because I was going to get into all that even like around the fight time. But yeah, man, everybody, they talk about this Gypsy King, blah blah blah. He this, that, and the third. And he's this great fighter, but honestly, he's popped dirty a couple times. And I was listening to a podcast with a guy, and he said, "Yo," he said, "Yo, Tyson Fury is the champion, blah, blah, blah." And he asked the question to people, how many times has Tyson Fury defended his title? And you know what the answer was? 0. He's never defended a title. When he beat Vladimir Klitschko a couple years ago, he took 2 years off because he had mental problems, but it was really his drug problem. He popped dirty. After that, he actually doesn't have a boxing license in England, his home country. There's a reason why he's fighting in America. Yeah. People those things don't get brought up. See, it's a lot to the story. Yeah. And it's a reason why he's fighting Deontay. He has no choice but to fight Deontay Wilder. See this little sabbatical he's doing right now? He still has to get in the ring with Deontay, or he has to retire. That's an order from arbitration.
Yeah, it's in the contract.
It's in the contract. So he can't fight no one else. That's why there's a guy, shout out to Drew Titan. He's a friend of a guy that I know at my job, and he has a good platform. He talks strictly boxing, and he brought it up. Like, he was like, when they announced Joshua versus Fury, he was like, I don't know why they're announcing that, because Fury is not fighting Anthony Joshua. He's gonna have to get in the ring with Deontay Wilder. And he said it while they were announcing that fight. And sure enough, a couple of days later, they ordered him to fight Deontay. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff I want to get into, but I want to do it more when it's close to the fight. No, but I'm pretty sure all 4 of us here is Team Wilder. Yeah, can't wait until they get in the ring. Can't wait to get in the ring and knock this fool out, man. Because he's a dirty fighter, man. He's a dirty fighter.
The fight is in November.
The date is going to be October 9th.
Okay.
I think they said that was the only day of that time where the venue is available. So October 9th is going to be the fight. There are a lot of people wondering, will Wilder take like a tune-up fight? But he's not done.
Deontay Wilder, I ain't doing nothing. I'm just strictly fighting him. And honestly speaking, like you said, and we all can just continue to jump in with this, is like with the Fury thing. Fury's trying to find another way to cheat. And at the end of the day, Joshua could exactly. I'm gonna tell you, man. Tyrone put me on to this guy because I was Team Wilder all day because I was watching him fight before. He's fighting the Barclays, different people. He fought OTs and all the other guys like that. And I was like, yeah, this guy is nice. And despite how you might feel about his fighting style, just look, people don't have to be super orthodox to be a great fighter. You know what I'm saying? And he's not a one-trick pony, because if he's a one-trick pony, he made it quite far with that one trick. And that one trick been putting a lot of people to sleep. So at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, you put me onto that, and I was watching the videos. Like, look, this guy's like throwing these weird rabbit punches. Like, he had one time he fought a guy, and they found out his gloves was messed up. They stopped the fight and got him gloves to fight. And it's like he does a lot of these tricky stuff. But what happens is because he had this whole kind of like image like, oh, he's recovering from mental health and all this other stuff like that, people gave him a pass. And I don't want to be that guy, but let's be honest, like Deontay Wilder, country boy from Alabama, black dude.
Listen here, man.
They're taking him from the belt because why? It's gonna be harder to make him fight Joshua. Because Joshua, no disrespect to him, I lost a little bit of respect for Joshua. He didn't want to fight Deontay. He making all the excuses to fight Deontay, and Joshua didn't fight him. And at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? He knew fighting Tyson would be easier because he knew that he already know what to look for with Tyson because he know the cheating. He already know what to do with him, and it's gonna be a bigger name, and it's easier, I think, for him to get the belt off of Fury as opposed to getting off Wilder. So to me, it's like, look, man, I hope Wilder come in and smoke this cat, because at the end of the day, when you cheat like that, you can kill him. Like Deontay Wilder had fractures in his skull.
He has a dent he has a permanent dent in his skull.
Exactly. And this is off the fact that this cat was cheating. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you try to cheat to knock him out and embarrass him, and then, make it seem like, oh, he just can't fight, or people want to believe the narrative, oh, he was jumped. So he did say something about the suit, but say, oh, he can't fight, and this, that, the other. When this man was cheating. So to me, it's like,
it's more to the story, because when he lost, he was off. You know, there was stuff with poison water. There was water with poison water. There was the glove situation. I think what happened was he had the poison water. You know, this video of Tyson Fury refusing certain bottles of water. It's almost like he knew that certain waters were going to be poisoned. There's videos of that, and
I even know that.
It's a lot I can get into, but we'll save it. But what happened? What I believe happened with Wilder is, I think he went into the fight and he felt something was wrong, probably on his way to the ring. I don't think he noticed it until he was on his way to the ring, and then the fight happened, and he probably assumed that maybe it was the costume. That was his first reaction, was to say, "Oh man," I think, because he wasn't aware of anything with Fury until later on, like, or maybe a week or two later. Mm-hmm. He didn't know anything. He thought that, man, maybe it was my costume, and I shouldn't have wore a heavy costume. So that's why that was the running joke. Everybody's making fun of him, talking about, oh, make sure you wear a lighter suit next time you go to the ring, blah, blah, blah.
But real quick, but even on that, like even with the poison, I heard a little bit of that too. It's like everything he brings up that's like could be something that could be investigated. Everybody making fun of it. Like why the camera got cut off. Even the announcer said like, yo, what's going on in the room? Why the camera cut off? His own guys in the back. I'm telling you, boxing's been grimy.
Yo, he got rid of his whole, he got rid of that whole team. Yeah, he got rid of that team. Yeah. And think about it. If he was lying and making excuses, why are they mandating that he fights Tyson Fury again? Why did he win his arbitration? You got to ask yourself that question. So everybody that want to sit here, it's like you said, everybody want to believe a certain narrative. Fury won the fight. Okay, everybody's going to say, okay, haha, Wilder, he's saying that his suit was heavy and that's why he got beat up. No, there's more to it, man. There's more to it. And I can't wait to talk about it when the fight happens, and I can't wait to see Deontay knock his fool out, man.
Yeah, me too, man. I just hate the fact that they got to wait till October, because at the end of the day, I think Fury's trying to find ways to get this stuff out of his system. He talking about all this extra stuff, and you can see he's nervous. I mean, and then sometimes it's sad to me, like especially like a Michael Bisping, right?
He's been getting beat up in sparring. He has marks. He had a back, I think a swollen lip the other day. Yeah. I think something with his eye. Like they were saying that there's a guy, Big Baby Anderson. This is a young up and coming heavyweight boxer that I know about. He was sparring with Fury, and they said he knocked Fury out standing up. Like Fury was out on his feet.
Yeah, good.
So that probably prompted them to, like, you know what, he's not ready for this fight, because Wilder would have destroyed him if Fury. And he's talking about coming in at 300 pounds. You go ahead, man, because Deontay working, man. Yeah. Ain't nothing sweeter than revenge, man.
And honestly, he looking good from what I'm seeing. I follow him on Instagram. He got a new trainer training him. Sometimes you need a different pace. That other
Malik
guy
Scott.
was doing. Yeah,
Malik
like,
Scott is a.
You just need
Malik
something
Scott
different.
Is a guy,
you know what I'm saying?
And Fury was making fun of Malik Scott because Tyson Fury fought Malik Scott and beat him. So he's trying to say, well, how could he train you to beat me when I beat him, and blah blah blah, all this other garbage. But
you cheating.
It's Deontay. You fighting Deontay Wilder this time. Yeah. You're not fighting Malik Scott.
And I forgot who was that guy that's in those videos. He was saying the same thing. He was piecing up, Fury, and all of a sudden Fury did some other stuff in training, and then the guy's like, why is this hurting me more? Why is this feeling this way? And like I said, man, with the boxing thing, and Malik, guys feel free to jump in. This is like an open forum before we wrap. It's like, to me, it's like, why is it that, these guys think it's okay to do this different things? Like, I know it sounds a little naive, but it's like, look, man, like, go out on your shield, be a real warrior, like, fight for real, don't cheat. And then you cheating, and then you acting like, yo, like, you the man. Like, I can't, like, even if I was a cheat, I'd be like, man, I'll feel a certain kind of way, like, damn, I cheated, man, I didn't really win. Like, I'll feel like whack about it. But these cats, like freaking Tyson Fury, he the man, like, for doing that.
Yo,
everybody on Tyson Fury, like, oh, he the man, because they want to criticize Deontay Wilder in his boxing. You had many people who's unorthodox who didn't fight the other way. They had that guy who used to have the drunken master style when he was boxing. He was winning fights. You had that other guy who be flashy. Roy Jones Jr. was not an orthodox boxer.
The drunken master, he was one of my favorites. His name was Emmanuel Augustus.
Yes,
man.
Thank you.
Floyd Mayweather said that was the toughest fight. That was the toughest fighter he ever fought. Yeah. He said he always brings him up, and that was a young up and coming Floyd. That wasn't even like. And he said he said, oh, there was this man Emmanuel Augustus, and he retired a long time ago, but he fought a long time. He had a lot of wins and losses, but he was one of those Herky Jerky.
Yeah.
So when I was surprised you knew who that was, man.
Yeah, because I used to watch some of that stuff.
That.
Even like freaking, what was his name? The guy that Muhammad Ali fought, Joe Frazier. He was unorthodox. You know what I'm saying? Like people are like unorthodox. Freaking Muhammad Ali was considered unorthodox when he was fighting. So to me, don't criticize Wilder, who was an Olympian, and saying all this other stuff that because he didn't have the traditional thing. Yes, he could have been sharp on certain other things. Yes, he could do certain things a little bit differently. But the man ain't 40-something and whatever won now.
41-1 with 40 knockouts.
Come on.
He only has one fight. That was Bermain Stavern. He took him to the distance, and then he fought up again in a rematch and knocked him out.
No, he knocked him through the guard. I seen that fight. That's the fights that I've been watching. When he fought Stavern, that's when I started knowing about Deontay.
Yeah, I've been following Deontay since he was like 20-something and old. I caught him when he was like in the middle of his career.
Well, I caught him in the 30s. I caught him just in time.
Yeah, I caught him before he even won a title.
Yeah.
So
and that's my thing. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to be that guy, but it's like.
But we need to people need to
open their eyes, man.
People need to get behind this guy. We don't have a lot of great African American heavyweight champions.
But that's the thing. They don't care about that. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, boxing is so soft right now that
everybody you hearing from right now, they from Europe, they from England. Like these British fighters, I can't stand British fighters. I think British fighters are so overrated. It's not even funny. Like I'm not a British fighter supporter. I think they just run their mouth too much. No matter what weight division it is. So people like Joshua and them, they clowns to me, man. They clowns to me. And you brought up Luis Ortiz. Luis Ortiz to me is one of the best heavyweights in the world, and all of them duck him. You know who didn't duck him? You know who didn't duck him?
Deontay Wilder.
Deontay Wilder. He fought him twice, and he didn't have to. He knocked him out the first time and gave him another fight the next time.
And knocked the
you know why? Because Deontay don't run from nobody. Exactly. He wanted that job. He wanted that Joshua fight. He was going to fight Joshua in England.
Yeah.
And Joshua turned it down.
And he told Joshua, because I remember this, he's like, look, I'll fight you on your terms. But if I beat you, when we have the rematch, everything you asked me to do.
States.
No, not even that. He said everything you gave me. Like let's say Deontay getting 10 million and let's say Joshua getting 50 million. He said, when we do the rematch, everything is reversed. I get the big money, you get the less money, and you got to fight in the States. They don't want to do that. They try to find ways out of the fight. They try to price their way out of the fight. And then what happened? He go fight the other guy, Ruiz, and Ruiz knocked him clean out. And then he came back, beat Ruiz, and me and Mel watched that fight, man. That fight.
Listen,
he was acting like he did something. You know what I'm saying, Mel? You remember that joint? He did something. So
no, I do remember. I mean, yeah, he did at least bounce back from it. That was his first real setback in that way. So he did show at least that he could come back from that. And like I said, I actually like Joshua, but I understand some of the points y'all saying and making. But yeah, he didn't like go out there and like give a performance for the ages. It was like, all right, I'm gonna be a little more cautious now because of what happened. And he did have a game plan more so this time. He stuck to it. He got the W. But yeah, it wasn't like some super impressive performance or performance for the ages.
Yeah.
And just in general too, like I was saying too with Wilder, it's like, look, you could say whatever you want. I just feel like there's a little too much evidence of things with Fury that are a little awry that, I'm like, you could try to clown him or say whatever. I think anybody in his position with the history that Fury had and then all this stuff coming out, you're going to wonder. And at the end of the day, if Fury's so nice and he was so light work, just beat him again, fight him again like in a contract and beat him again. It shouldn't have had to been like he got to go through arbitration, all this other stuff. Honor the contract. The man ran it back with you. You were supposed to run it back. Run it back. What's the big deal? He was so easy, right? He was light work, just run it back. So like,
exactly.
So that's why I'm like, it's something that's going on there. It just seemed a little weird. So
they were trying to pay him off.
People could try to say all that other kind of stuff, but I could understand completely why Wilder would feel like something is going on.
If you're a fighter, fight. That's your job, right?
Yeah.
It shouldn't matter who you fight. A lot of these guys, they so protective of their records that they don't fight nobody. It's not even just the heavyweight division. I see this all the time in all the other divisions, man.
Yeah.
And everybody's just so protective of they records, man. Yeah. Let's go out there and fight. That's why I like Deontay. Listen, Deontay Wilder fought Luis Ortiz, who to me is probably the top 5 as a heavyweight. Maybe top 3, honestly, without a belt. These guys don't want to fight him because he's an amateur. He is 42 years old. He's an older fighter, but he fights. He's very powerful, very strong. Deontay Wilder went in the ring with him the first time. You know, he was outboxing Deontay. Deontay knocked him out. Deontay, true to form, right? He had the Tyson Fury fight lined up, the first one.
Yep.
He still took the gamble to fight Ortiz in a rematch, knowing that Ortiz is a better boxer, and he had already beaten him. He didn't need to beat him again, but he knows people are ducking him. He had the Fury fight lined up. He said, I'm going to fight Luis Ortiz again. Even though he put the Fury fight at risk, he fought him again, and he beat him again. This man is not afraid to fight nobody.
Yeah.
He ain't afraid to fight nobody. He wants Joshua. He wants Fury. He wants Dillian White. He wants all those other clowns in the UK to fight at the heavyweight division. Yeah, these guys need to just step up, man. Joshua's a punk. Joshua's a punk to me, man.
I used to like Joshua.
He ran in that second Ruiz fight, bro. Like, he ran in that fight. It's just the only thing that's made him, the only reason why he won that fight is because Ruiz came in 300 pounds. He got that championship, he got that money, and he just went to McDonald's every day. That's pretty much what he looked like. He looked like he was in McDonald's every day.
Yeah, and he said he even trained, because you know what? He got the money. He thought, like, I could beat Joshua again. Look, honestly speaking, like you said, with Deontay real quick, it's like, look, man, I used to like Joshua, and I lost respect for him when he was ducking Deontay and making all the other stuff of that, because he has a brand. That's before he got rocked by your boy, right? And my thing with this whole Fury thing, and like I was saying, like, Deontay Wilder has been saying, like, I want to make this a unified belt. I want to make sure that it's not like this belt here for the heavyweight and this belt here. I want to take everything. Joshua
undisputed
was shook because he know that Deontay Wilder is just as tall as him. Reach is probably the same. Yeah, he might be more muscular, but Deontay Wilder got that power. So he didn't want to take that. He know he ain't got no type of chin like that. So he's like, look, I'm not saying Joshua's not a great boxer. Joshua was a good boxer. I'm not taking nothing away from him. But he was shook to fight Deontay. And my thing with the Fury thing is like, look, man, you, like Malik said, you thought it was going to be eat light work. That should be a no-brainer for you to take that fight. But no, What they try to do was they try to use the money and the game to do it. They didn't think Deontay Wilder was going to go to court. They didn't think nobody's going to hear him out in court. They looked at, we're going to bribe these people because we have money. They was going to give them some hush money, like, yo, take this $10, $15 million.
Yeah, they wanted to take step-aside money.
Do this, you got to take the money, let them do it, because they know Fury Joshua is going to be huge. And he's like, no, this man got to run it back. This man tried to kill me. And now Deontay's taking, like, yo, this is like, nah, this ain't no regular boxing match now.
You saw how he was at the press conference.
Yeah, Deontay is literally looking to kill this cat. And that's how I believe. Like, he might not physically kill him, but he's looking to hurt Fury. And I think Fury is shook. Fury knew he's getting rocked in them training camps. And now what happens is that because everybody know Fury, because let's be honest, the boxing circle know what's going on, right? The real people know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And they know, like, yo, Fury cheats. So if I'm training with Fury, he's like, nah, I'm using my gloves. What about them gloves? What are you doing with your gloves? Make sure them joints on right. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm not drinking nothing from your joint. You know what I'm saying? And he gonna fight. And then he gonna put that work on him. So what Fury does in his training camps is find ways to cheat and find how it's gonna work. And honestly, like I was saying with boxing, the reason why a lot of people don't like it, I remember I listened to this interview with Amir Khan. He's like, look, man, there's no like central body. Like, I can call up a company, Everlast, I need my gloves to be 10 ounces, but take out the padding near the knuckles. And they'll take out the padding near the knuckles, and then like the glove is weight the same, and then you got it the right there. He have horse hit. A lot of stuff. Like I said earlier, guys, do your research before, because we're going to get into more detail when we get closer to the fight. Like Tom said, like I said, Tom put me on. It's a lot. It's a lot.
And because, you know, I like to throw my shots at certain people when I feel like it. Amir Khan is a clown. I just wanted to bring that up. He's the Brit that I hate the most. Like, Amir Khan's a clown, but you know, I just
like the reason the British cats are taking over more so because more people in UK are into boxing. Like, more Americans now are kind of transitioning into MMA and other combat sports, whereas, like, you know, boxing is still good. And I'm not trying to say that it's not a non-American, but the bigger names is going to be bigger. Like Mexico, obviously, you're going to have Mexican, because that's what they do. You know what I'm saying? Like, boxing is still like one of the keys. But now when people starting to see MMA becoming more, you know, of like a, you know, a pastime, people more so kind of go into that direction.
MMA is still popular. It's just that with boxing in certain states that it's way more popular, like Vegas, California, Texas, you know, New York still big on boxing. You know, certain states are on it. You know, the problem is, you know, there's not a lot of we're not promoting our American fighters
Yeah.
the way we should, like these other countries are. That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the problem. We're not
100%.
getting behind them that much. Like, how could you get behind this guy, Tyson Fury? I don't get it, man. I don't get it. First of all, he's not from here.
He's smart.
He's not from here, and he's a cheater. He's a known cheater. He's been suspended for this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't get.
But see, I can tell you real quick before as we wrap. The reason why is that he, unfortunately, he's a white male. Secondly,
nope, that's the truth.
He's talking. You know, he has a good gift for gab for talking, and he had that story that you know, come back from behind, you know, drug addict guy, almost committed suicide. Like he has that story.
A lot of that stuff.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not fabricated. I'm not trying to say that.
I ain't too sure how authentic some of that stuff is.
No, I get you. I get you. Like we see it through the veneer, but a lot of casuals, they're gonna see like, oh, you know, wow, this guy has a great story. And like I said, because the name Tyson Fury, they know him more so. Deontay Wilder, like dude from the South, loud, you know what I'm saying? Kind of hood. They ain't gonna really rock with him. You know, Anthony Joshua, like, you know, the prep school boy from UK who got the muscles and have that kind of like wearing the white, like he's Muhammad Ali. And people, you know what I mean, trying to do that. So people gonna beat up on names that they see more so.
There's a picture out there with him getting his nails filed by a woman, man, like Joshua, man. So, you know, he a little salty, man.
I mean, look, man, he into that kind of like, you know, being like kind of like groomed. And no, Deontay Wilder got his foot done before getting his feet in many petty. Like that's like the new thing these guys be doing. But at the end of the day, like, you know, Deontay Wilder's more grizzled, you know what I mean? Instead of tattoos, like more like, you know, gritty. Whereas like Joshua is trying to be like Muhammad Ali with the white on and having that kind of thing, the UK voice and, you know, being, you know, jacked the way he is, you know, Tyson Fury.
That's his problem, too, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, but look, it is what it is. But like I said, man, we're in the wrapping. I want to thank you guys for joining us, man. Thanks, Tyrone, Mendelake, and Hollister. You know what I mean? I know we covered a lot. This one will be a long one, I can tell. Pause. But thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching the podcast. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel. It really does help us grow. Our subscriber count has gone up, and we do appreciate that. Like I said, let us know if you any other topics y'all would like us to talk about. The Olympics coming up, we're gonna start talking about some Olympic stuff. I know we said this is sports talk with the fam, but you know, there's other things that we are interested in. Maybe y'all want us to do like a separate channel that maybe we talk about like movies or different things like that. Let us know. We can try to do something like that. But thanks again for the support. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and God bless.